Welcome to my in-depth Lord of the Rings Online Virtue Guide for Update 30 in 2021. This guide is going to go pretty in-depth with multiple builds for virtues in the game, and it should also be valid for any future updates as well. At the moment, all the virtues are at level 75 in the game. You can see all the virtues in the game displayed here. In future updates, I'm sure the level cap is going to be raised on these virtues, but the guide should still stand because the stats should all be raised equally for every virtue and have the same value. Before getting into the virtues themselves, I'm just going to do a short introduction and explain the reasoning behind my results. It's really important to remember that in my estimation, 1 essence equals 100% value, which means on the screen you see the tier 6 essence, which is the highest in the game. Each of these values is worth 100%. That means that 17578 tactical mitigation equals 21 to 45 Fizz Mastery. They both have the same value. They're both worth 100%. Not the same number, but they still share the same value. That's important to remember. This would mean that if you increased the tactical mitigation to 18,000, it'll be better than 21 to 45 Physical Mastery, because the value of the tactical mitigation will be more than 100%. So in this guide, we're looking to get max value from different builds, glass cannon, mitigation builds, morale builds, and we want to get max value by going for the valuable stats, the stats that we're gonna need for the content that we're doing. So with that introduction out of the way, let's get into the guide. Just to be clear before we go into the details, the way you should be viewing this guide is from top to bottom. Starting with the top, is this valuable for me? Is this stat valuable for me? The answer is yes. Fizz Mit is valuable, and you should probably go for this build to get the max value from this. The answer is no, you skip to the next one. It's no, 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 you skip, until you reach a place where you say, yes, this is good. For tank, maybe you don't want Fizz Mit, maybe you don't want crit defense. You keep going, maybe you don't care that much about BP. You keep going, maybe you don't care about resistance that much. And if you're a guardian, maybe you'll think, yeah, some finesse might be nice, incoming healing is always good, Tact Mit is always good, morale, vitality, of course, for a tank is good. If this is a combo that gives me the best value, then this is what I should pick, and I should use my essences to fill in the gaps. This way I get max value from the virtues or stats that I find usable. This is how you should approach every role in this guide, and it should yield the best results. We're going to start off with tank. This goes for any tank in the game, any class that has a tanking line, which will be Beorning, Champion, Captain, Guardian, and Warden, and possibly Brawler in the future. So you might be asking, what if I want a different build? What if I don't care about Fizz Mit? The good thing about this guide is that I have multiple builds. So if we go to the next page, we're gonna remove the physical mitigation. And now you can see my name is Tank and I care about these stats. If you want all these stats, these are the 5 virtues you want to go with for max value. And this is gonna keep going. A lot of people might not care about BPE, so we go to the next one. You have resistance. Sometimes it might be good, then this would be a really good setup if there's a resistance heavy fight. But a lot of the times you don't really need resistance. We go to the next one. Alright, we have the important stats, but also finesse. Maybe some tanks won't really care about finesse. Alright, then we'll look at the next one. Incoming healing, tact mitigation, morale, vitality, really important stats. Then again, you can be a tank that would say, but I don't really care about incoming healing. Then we'll look at the next one. Tactical mitigation, morale, and vitality build. These are the best virtues for maximum value. And there's no point removing the Tact Mit from this, because the virtues will be the same. Moving on, we have DPS. Now this is for every class, starting off with Beorning DPS. And for the DPS, I have included incoming healing, tactical mitigation, vitality, morale, and then at the bottom you have raw stats like finesse, crit rating, and mastery. Most of the time, DPS will just go for the damage stats like mastery, crit rating, finesse, but it's also nice to have some vitality, morale to be a bit sturdier. Tact Mit will be really good in some fights, and even incoming healing could be useful. But for Beorning DPS, this is the best 5 virtues if you care about all of these stats. You can keep going, removing one by one stat. You'll see the virtues change slightly. If you care about vitality and morale and raw damage stats, this is the best. But if you just want to go full glass cannon, this is the build for you. This is a build I would use, say, for questing. But if you're doing a raid, you might want to consider the other builds. Moving on, we have Guardian and Capt DPS. They share pretty much all the same stats. Their virtues are going to be similar for value. If you care about all these stats, these are the 5 best. Moving on, Tact Mit, vitality, and damage build. If you don't want the Tact Mit, you have vitality, morale, and damage. And of course, if you want to go full glass cannon, this is the build for you. Next class is the champion. If you care about all the stats, this is your build. Moving the incoming healing, you have the Tact Mit build. And of course, if you just care about morale and damage, this is your build. And finally, pure glass cannon. This is your build to go for. Next up, we have the agility classes for DPS, which is Warden, Hunter, and Burglar. Same thing as the other DPS. If you care about all of these stats, this is the best build for an agility DPS class. If you want to remove the incoming healing, this is your build. You don't care about the tactical mitigations, you get these 5 virtues. And this is basically glass cannon build, because this is the most value you're gonna get for DPS on these classes. Next up, we have the will classes, Loremaster, Runekeeper, and Minstrel. All of these stats, if you care about all the stats being displayed, you go for this for max value. You can remove the Tact Mit and incoming healing, go for this build. And of course, if you only want pure glass cannon, you go for this build. And the last role we're gonna look at is the healers. We have Beorning, we have Captain, and we have the will classes for healing. So you might notice that incoming healing and Tact Mit, vitality, morale, and finally you have crit rating and mastery. So pretty standard, same as the other roles. If you care about all these stats for your Beorning healer, you go for this. You don't care about the incoming healing, this is your build. You don't care about the Tact Mits as a healer, your build. Obviously, as a healer, having some morale and vitality is good to have. But if you don't care about the vitality and morale gain, then you just go for pure glass cannon, crit and mastery build. Same goes for the captain healer. These are your overall best 5. But if you don't care about the incoming healing, I'm gonna change slightly. If you don't care about the tactical mitigation, and if you don't care about vitality and morale, if you just want to have a pure glass cannon healing build, this is the way to go. And finally we have Loremaster, Runekeeper, and Minstrel healing. Same as the other classes. If you don't care about the incoming healing, the virtues will change. If you don't feel like you need the Tact Mit, they will change. And of course, if you don't feel like you need the extra vitality and morale, go for the pure glass cannon. That concludes my virtue guide. Hopefully it helped. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to my channel, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next one.